What if I told you that most people are broke, not because they buy too much, but because they buy wrong? They chase price. Buffett chases value, and that single difference is why he's a billionaire, while most are buried under receipts. Warren Buffett once said, "Price is what you pay, value is what you get." Simple words, but within them lies a truth so powerful, so piercing, it can either make you wealthy or keep you in chains your entire life. We live in a world obsessed with price tags, flashy discounts, limited time offers. People will line up overnight for a new phone that depreciates the moment they open the box, but hesitate to invest in a book that could shift their mindset forever because they see the cost but not the worth. Buffett, he sees the reverse. He doesn't ask, what does it cost? And he asks, what is it truly worth today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now? That's not shopping. That's vision. And that's the foundation of wealth. From the very beginning, Warren understood that markets don't price things right. They price things fast. They respond to hype, fear, and noise. But value whispers. It doesn't beg for attention. It reveals itself only to the patient, the perceptive, the prepared. When others ran after what was rising, Buffett hunted what was undervalued. When the herd panicked, he sharpened his focus because he knew price is momentary, value is eternal. He wasn't gambling. He was measuring. He studied businesses like a master jeweler studies a gem, turning it slowly, examining every facet, every flaw, every strength. And if the price was lower than the value, that's when he struck. It's why he bought Coca-Cola when the market was unsure. It's why he held on to American Express when scandal shook Wall Street. It's why he built Berkshire Hathaway not on trends, but on timeless businesses with real compounding value. But this principle isn't just for stocks, it's for life. Think about it. How many people choose a job based on salary instead of significance? How many chase relationships that look good on Instagram, but leave them emotionally bankrupt? How many say yes to quick dopamine, cheap highs, and loud entertainment, but starve their souls of depth, wisdom, and purpose? They're focused on price. Buffett teaches us to focus on value. He didn't just invest in companies, he invested in meaning. He didn't buy things, he bought futures. That's why he once said, the best investment you can make is in yourself, because the most undervalued stock on the market is you. Most people overpay for external validation and underinvest in internal growth. They'll spend thousands on gadgets, on getaways, on goods that fade, but hesitate to spend time building the skill that will free them, the habit that will elevate them, the mindset that will multiply them. But Buffett, he knew better. He read more than he spoke, listened more than he traded, learned more than he earned, and that learning earned him everything. He saw life through the lens of intrinsic value. He didn't care what something looked like. He cared what it could become, because that's what real value is, unrealized potential waiting to be revealed. He looked at businesses not for their market buzz, but for their moats, their durability, their character, their DNA. And if you want to live like Buffett, if you want to build wealth that lasts, you need to adopt this principle in every corner of your life. Stop asking, what does it cost? Start asking, what is it worth? You'll realize most things people chase aren't worth chasing. Most things they fear losing aren't worth keeping. And most things they ignore are the very things that would set them free. Value is found in the quiet, in the unpopular, in the long term. It's in the early morning workouts no one sees, the difficult conversations that build trust, the small, consistent deposits into your future self. Buffett didn't grow wealthy by jumping at every shiny opportunity. He grew wealthy by discerning value faster than others and holding it longer. He once said, it's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. That's not just an investment philosophy. That's a life creed. Choose the wonderful. Choose the rare. Choose the things whose value compounds, even if they don't come cheap, even if they take time, even if no one else sees them yet, because value doesn't beg for attention. It waits to be understood, and those who understand it early win late. Look at history. Edison wasn't the first to chase the light bulb. He was the first to refuse to quit until its value was realized. Lincoln wasn't popular. He was principled. Jobs didn't invent the smartphone. He reinvented how we experience it by focusing on design and purpose, not just parts and price. end. And Buffett, he built an empire of quiet giants, companies the world took for granted until he exposed their brilliance. That's what you must learn to do. See hidden value before the world does, not just in markets, in ideas, in people, in yourself. Because the moment you do, everything changes. Warren Buffett doesn't just see what things are, he sees what they're becoming. He doesn't look at snapshots, he studies the film. Because value, unlike price, doesn't freeze in time. It grows, it unfolds. It's the oak tree sleeping inside the acorn, waiting for someone with the patience and clarity to water it. But that kind of vision requires a different kind of mindset, one that sees past the surface, past the headlines, past the noise. That's why Buffett spends hours a day reading, why he avoids the chatter of television pundits and market hysteria. He knows when you listen too much to the crowd, you lose the ability to hear the signal. He once said, the most important quality for an investor is temperament, not intellect, not IQ, not credentials. Temperament, the ability to stay calm when others panic, the ability to zoom out when others zoom in, the ability to trust value when price goes wild. That's a principle the market will test you on over and over again because price moves fast, but value moves quietly. Let's revisit 2008. The world was crumbling, banks collapsing, fear in the air like smoke after a fire. Everyone was running to sell, to pull out, to escape the storm. But Buffett, he walked in. He didn't flinch. He didn't rush. He didn't hide. He evaluated. And then he acted. He made a $5 billion investment in Goldman Sachs during the peak of the crisis. Not because it looked safe, but because he understood its value when no one else could see it. He wrote an op-ed in the New York Times that said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." That wasn't a metaphor. That was a commandment. Because value reveals itself most clearly when panic clouds everyone else's judgment, but only to those who have trained their eyes to see, only to those who have mastered Buffett's most sacred habit, delayed gratification. Because the truth is, chasing price is easy. It feels good. It feels immediate. It scratches the itch. But value demands that you wait, that you invest, then walk away and let time do the heavy lifting. That's what Buffett did over and over again. He didn't try to time the market. He didn't try to guess what would happen tomorrow. He bought businesses he understood at prices that made sense, and he held them, sometimes for decades. Why? Because he wasn't chasing excitement. He was building endurance. It's the difference between sprinting toward dopamine and marching toward destiny. And that's a lesson we all need to relearn today because we've been seduced by price. Price of attention, price of fame, price of followers, price of validation. We chase likes, status, speed, but forget to ask, what is this actually worth? We trade our peace for urgency, trade long-term growth for short-term gain, trade legacy for noise. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of everything that matters because price is loud, value is quiet, price is fleeting, value stays. Buffett knew this. That's why he never chased what was hot. He chased what was honest. He looked for leadership with integrity, brands with loyalty, products with simplicity, systems that could last, even if the world around them didn't. That's why he bought into companies like See's Candies, Geeko, and Dairy Queen. Not sexy, not flashy, but consistent, reliable, steady. He didn't need fireworks. He needed furnaces, something that could burn for a long, long time. That's what value is, the slow, powerful burn that outlasts the sparks. So how do you apply this to your own life? Start by asking the uncomfortable questions. Are you chasing a job for the paycheck or for the purpose? Are you investing in skills that feel fun now or ones that will feed you forever? Are you surrounding yourself with people who stroke your ego or people who sharpen your mind? Price will try to distract you. It will glow. It will seduce. It will shout. But value waits. Quiet, calm, true. And here's the brutal truth. You can't fake value. You can dress something up. You can give it a shiny package, a fancy logo, a loud campaign. But if there's no substance under the surface, it will decay. That's true for stocks. That's true for businesses. That's true for people. Buffett didn't just invest in numbers. He invested in people with principle. He looked for CEOs who were builders, not just marketers. People who told the truth, even when it cost them. People who loved their product more than they loved their PR. because value is integrity in action. So what does that mean for you? It means this. Stop trying to look valuable. Be valuable. Build skills that compound. Build habits that don't expire. Build a mindset that's immune to hype. Because when you invest in value, you stop playing small games. You stop trading hours for dollars. You stop chasing temporary applause. You stop living at the mercy of mood swings and price tags. You start anchoring your life to what matters. And when the storms come, and they will, you won't be shaken. You'll be ready. Just like Buffett was, just like Buffett still is. There's a reason Warren Buffett is known as the Oracle of Omaha. Not because he predicts the future, but because he understands the present better than anyone else. He sees beneath the surface. He studies the roots, not just the fruit, because while others are hypnotized by price tags, he's asking the only question that matters. What is this truly worth? And that question, when asked consistently, becomes a compass for your life. Think about this. How many people regret their purchases, regret their degrees, regret their partners, careers, choices, not because the price was too high, but because the value was too low? Buffett avoids that pain by refusing to buy what he doesn't understand. He once said, "Never invest in a business you cannot understand." Why? Because value cannot be faked. If you don't get it, you shouldn't get in. Clarity is a prerequisite to value. And clarity comes from discipline, from thinking, not just reacting. That's what Buffett trains like a muscle, deep thought. He blocks out hours just to think, uninterrupted, undistracted. In a world obsessed with urgency, that's rebellion. But that rebellion is what makes him powerful, because time spent thinking is time spent aligning with value. So here's a truth few are ready to face. You don't get rich by doing more. You get rich by knowing what's worth doing. And knowing what's worth doing means ignoring 99% of what looks exciting but lacks substance. Buffett has turned down thousands of deals. He's walked away from tech companies that others chased blindly. Why? Because if he couldn't measure the value, he wouldn't touch the price. He didn't care what the market was shouting. He cared what the business was whispering. He was never interested in being first. He was interested in being right. That's why when he finally invested in Apple, he did it not because of hype, but because he saw a company that had become an ecosystem, not just a product line, not just a trend, but a sticky, recurring, addictive value engine. He once said, "You only have to do a very few things right in your life, so long as you don't do too many things wrong." That's the power of value thinking, because price is reactive. It jumps, it falls, it panics. But value is anchored. And when you live anchored in value, you become unshakable. So ask yourself, what if you stopped chasing better deals and started building a better discernment? What if instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" you asked, "Does this move my life forward?" That's what Buffett does. Every investment he makes is a long-term question. Will this still matter 10 years from now? Will it still grow? Will it still serve? If the answer is no, he walks away. Because the best wealth you'll ever build is from the opportunities you refuse to touch. That's the Buffett edge most never see. He doesn't just make money from what he buys. He preserves it by what he ignores. And you can do the same in business, in relationships, in time. How many hours are you spending on content that entertains but doesn't educate? How many people are you giving access to who drain you more than they grow you? How many choices are you making based on speed instead of substance? Buffett teaches us every decision is an investment. Every moment is a transaction. Every yes has a hidden cost. But if you train yourself to see value instead of price, you stop being fooled by appearances. You stop being seduced by convenience. You start becoming dangerous because you now operate from a place of principle, not pressure. That's how you build not just wealth, but wisdom. Because when you live by price, you live in fear. Fear of missing out, fear of falling behind, fear of what others will say. But when you live by value, you live in clarity. You move slowly. You speak less. You listen more. You don't chase every wave. You wait for the right tide. And that changes everything. It's why Buffett can sit on billions in cash doing nothing while the rest of the market spirals with anxiety, because he knows you don't get paid for motion. You get paid for precision. And that kind of precision, that comes from training your eye to see what matters before the world does. Because that's what investing is, not just with money, but with life. It's the relentless pursuit of underlying value, even when it's hidden under dust, under fear, under doubt. It's saying no to the shortcut, the flash, the now, so you can say yes to the forever. So start asking yourself, what in your life is priced high, but valued low? And what have you been undervaluing? That holds the key to everything. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your focus. Maybe it's your potential. Whatever it is, Buffett's rule stands. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. And the more you live by that rule, the more unstoppable you become. Imagine walking through a marketplace. Every stall is yelling, flashing, seducing you with bold numbers. Limited offer. Only today, you'll regret missing out. And in the middle of all this noise, one man stands silent, calm, observant. He isn't swayed by urgency. He's not impressed by glitter. He's looking for something deeper. That man is Warren Buffett. He knows something the crowd doesn't. The game isn't about who buys the most. It's about who buys what truly matters and holds it long enough to watch it multiply. He walks past the flashy, past the overpriced, past the noise, because he's not interested in looking rich. He's interested in being rich, quietly, patiently, wisely. And if you study that mindset long enough, you'll start to see the world differently. Buffett doesn't just teach us how to invest in stocks. He teaches us how to invest in life itself. You want a strong mind? Don't buy motivation. Build discipline. You want deep relationships? Don't seek followers. Cultivate trust. You want lasting wealth? Don't chase profit. Nurture value. Every dollar, every decision, every yes and no. It's either buying price or it's buying value. And price fades, but value compounds. It compounds in silence, in routines, in practice, in stillness. Buffett's entire empire is a monument to this truth, not built overnight, not built through wild bets, but brick by brick, belief by belief. He invested in what others overlooked. He held when others folded. He waited and won, because value isn't found in motion. It's found in meaning. And those who chase value become the rare few who build something timeless in a world addicted to trends. Let's break this down to one final principle. The difference between price and value is the difference between noise and wisdom. And if you want to live like Buffett, you need to start thinking like a value hunter. In conversations, listen for character, not charisma. In decisions, choose impact, not immediacy. In your craft, aim for mastery, not moments. In your identity, build depth, not decoration. Because the market will always try to distract you, but value will always try to find you. And when it does, you better be ready to recognize it. Buffett once said, opportunities come infrequently. When it rains gold, put out the bucket, not the thimble. But here's the catch. You only catch the rain if you've been waiting for it. You only hold the bucket if you've prepared for it. And you only see gold if you've trained your eyes to spot the shine beneath the dirt. That's what Buffett has done for over 80 years. And that's what you must do if you want to live with power, not pressure. So let me ask you, what have you been chasing that's just price disguised as progress? And what value have you been walking past because it didn't look shiny enough yet? Rethink your investments, not just the financial ones, your time, your attention, your habits, your circle, your choices. Because each of those is either costing you or compounding for you. And if you want to become something the world respects, you don't need to shout louder. You need to listen better. You don't need more hustle. You need more clarity. Buffett never chased a trend. He built a track record. He never followed the crowd. He followed conviction. He didn't fear missing out. He feared wasting time on what wasn't real. And when you live like that, when you invest like that, when you build your life around that, you stop reacting. You start compounding. You become the rare few who understand price is a moment, but value is a movement. It moves slowly, but with force, quietly, but with purpose, invisible at first, but undeniable in the end. That's how Buffett became one of the richest, wisest, most respected minds on the planet, not by doing more, but by doing what mattered most and letting time do the rest. So here's your choice. You can keep chasing cheap highs, or you can start building deep roots. You can keep buying what looks good, or you can start owning what lasts. You can play the game of price, or you can master the art of value. And if you choose value, if you hold the line while others fold, if you invest in what most people ignore, then one day the world won't ask, how did you get so lucky? They'll ask, how did you see it coming? And with a quiet smile, you'll answer, I stopped looking at the price and I started seeing the value